Hi students, I am very happy to meet you again through this platform. Stay home, stay safe. Today you have a poem of grade 9 from Behave book. You are going to learn. This is poem 5. The title of the poem is A Legend of Northland, which is written by Phoebe Cary. At first, let us see about poetess. Phoebe Cary was an American poetess. She was born on September 4, 1824 in Ohio. Her elder sister's name was Alice Cary. Both were poets. The sisters co-published poems in 1849 and then each went on to publish volumes of their own. After their deaths in 1871, joint anthologies of the sisters. This was the name of collection of poems. Unpublished poems were also compiled. She was died on 31st July 1871. Students, before you learn this poem, you have to know one thing, that is ballad. What is ballad? A ballad is a song narrating a story in short stanzas. Ballads are a part of folk culture or popular culture and are passed on orally from one generation to the next. A Legend of the Northland poem is a ballad. Ballad is such kind of poem which tells a story in short stanzas, and in the poem all the stanzas comprise 4 lines. In total, there are 16 stanzas in this poem, and these stanzas will tell us a story. Students, now we will see the explanation of the title. Title, as we know, A Legend of Northland. Here, legend means historical story or traditional story. So, legend means a historical story, one which is very old and has been passed on from one generation to next generation. This poem narrates the legend of an old lady who angered Saint Peter because of her greed. This poem narrates the story of an old lady who angered Saint Peter because of her greed. Students, you should know where the story is taking place. That means this poem is of the Northland area, the area which is clear near the North Pole. This exact place is not specified, but Northland means the area in the northernmost part of the east, near the North Pole. Look at the picture. This marked area is a North Pole. In the area only the story is taking place. The Northland is a very cold region covered with snow. Its closeness to the North Pole gives this place a cold weather with very few hours of sunlight. The poetess has written that here the hours of day are few and nights are long in winter. Even though I explained about this place, you have some doubts. For that I have a video clip. If you watch that video, you will understand about the place. Students, I hope that if you were in that region, that means in the Northland, how would you feel? Likewise, you will have felt after watching this video. Students, how is it? Did you enjoy? And did I take you to the northland? I hope that you'd have gone to the northland. Let's read the first stanza. Away, away in the northland, where the hours of the day are few and the nights are so long in winter that they cannot sleep them through. The meaning of first stanza is the northland has been described here. It is winter in northland. Here, the hours of days are few and there are long nights. The nights are cold and it is difficult to sleep. Here, they means people. People feel difficult to sleep. Words are very understandable in the first stanza. Now we read second stanza. When they harness the swift reindeer to the sledges when it snows, and the children look like bears' cubs in their funny furry clothes. Here the meaning is that there are severe cold conditions in the northland region. It is a snowy area. The reindeer is an animal which is found in this polar region. People tie the reindeers to the sledges and then reindeers pull the sledges. Here the children look like young ones of a bear because they wear funny looking clothes made of fur which is like the furry skin of a bear. The meaning of the words, the first word harness. Harness means tie the reindeers with the rope. The second word sledge. That means vehicle. Next, furry clothes. Look at the picture. The children have worn the furry clothes. Swift means runs very fast. Third stanza. They tell them a curious story. I don't believe this true. And yet you may learn a lesson if I tell the tale to you. Here the poetess says, at such a cold place, a curious story is told to the children by the people. Though the poetess doesn't believe this story, the poetess says that you may learn a lesson from the story. The story will be conveyed in the form of poem. Next, fourth stanza. Here the story starts. Once when the good Saint Peter lived in the world below and walked about it preaching, just as he did, you know. Here the meaning of this stanza. It is the story of legend. Saint Peter, when he lived in the world, Saint Peter has left for heaven. When Saint Peter was alive, he used to walk around and preach. This is fact about Saint Peter known to everyone. Here, preaching means deliver a religious speech to the group of people. Tale means story. From the fourth stanza only the story starts. Just listen the story. Fifth stanza. He came to the door of a cottage in traveling round the earth, where a little woman was making cakes and packing them on the hearth. Here the story goes like this. He came to the door of a cottage. He means Saint Peter. Saint Peter came to the door of a cottage while traveling around the earth. In the cottage, a little woman was making cake. She was packing cake on a stove. Hearth means stove. Next, sixth stanza. And being faint with fasting, for the day was almost done, he asked her from her store of cakes to give him a single one. Here the meaning of this stanza. Saint Peter was fasting for whole day. He didn't have anything and was about to faint. So Saint Peter asked the woman to give him a single cake from her stores of cake. Fifth stanza. He came to the door of a cottage in traveling round the earth, where a little woman was making cakes and packing them on the hearth. Here the story goes like this. He came to the door of a cottage. He means Saint Peter. Saint Peter came to the door of a cottage while traveling around the earth. In the cottage, a little woman was making cake. She was packing cake on a stove. Hearth means stove. Next, sixth stanza. And being faint with fasting, for the day was almost done, he asked her from her store of cakes to give him a single one. Here the meaning of the stanza. Saint Peter was fasting for whole day. He didn't have anything and was about to faint. So Saint Peter asked a woman to give him a single cake from her stores of cake. Seventh stanza. So she made a very little cake, but as it baking lay, she looked at it and thought it seemed too large to give away. Here the meaning is, the Saint Peter asked a cake to the woman, so she made a very little cake, but when she packed the cake, she thought that it was too large to give to the saint. Next, eighth stanza. Therefore, she needed another and still a smaller one, but it looked when she turned it over as large as the first had done. The cake was too large, therefore she packed another cake for saint, a smaller one, but again it looked as large as previous one. Students, you may feel tired, so it's time to refresh yourself. There is a game 1. Just play and refresh yourself. The name of the game is Guess the Sound. You will hear the sound and guess what sound is. Students, I hope that you refreshed yourself. Let's back to class. Ninth stanza. Then she took a tiny scarf of dough and rolled it flat and packed it thin as a wafer, but she couldn't part with that. Here, after that, she took a tiny scarf of dough, that means a piece of bread, very thin. She rolled it flat, she packed it as thin wafer. Wafer means a very thin biscuit, but she couldn't give that also to saint due to greed. Next stanza, 10th. For she said, my cakes that seem too small, when I eat of them myself, are yet too large to give away, so she put them on the shelf. Students, see here. The woman told that her cake seemed too small when she ate herself. It seemed too large when she gave to others. After that, she put them on the shelf. Students, here you can see her greediness. 11th stanza. Then good Saint Peter grew angry, for he was hungry and faint, and surely such a woman was enough to provoke a saint. Here, Saint Peter became angry. He was very hungry. He was feeling very weak, and the selfish woman was not ready to give him even a small cake. This behavior of the greedy woman irritated the saint. Not only this saint, any saint. Her behavior irritated any saint. Next, 12th stanza. And he said, you are far too selfish to dwell in a human form, to have both food and shelter and fire to keep you warm. Here, Saint Peter cursed the woman and said that she was very selfish. She didn't deserve to live like a human being. He added that God had given her food, shelter, fire to keep warm, but she had become selfish for all the resources she had. She did not want to share them with anybody. The Saint Peter said like this to the greedy woman. Here, provoke means irritate, and dwell means to live. Now 13th stanza. Now you shall build as the birds do, and shall get your scanty food, by boring and boring and boring all day in the hot dry wood. After the Saint Peter got angry, Saint Peter cursed the woman that she would become a bird because she did not deserve to live like a human being. She shall become a bird, and just like birds build their houses by boring into the wood. Wood means forest, and collect very little food by working hard the entire day. Similarly, she would also work hard in the dry wood all day and get little food and make a small place for herself to live. Scanty means very little. Boring means make a hole. Wood means forest. 14th stanza. Then up she went through the chimney, never speaking a word, and out of the top flew a woodpecker, for she was changed into a bird. Here, as soon as Saint Peter cursed the woman, she didn't get a chance to speak for herself. Then she flew up to the roof through the chimney and flew out in the form of a bird. Saint Peter's curse had converted the woman into a bird. Look at the picture. This is chimney. Then the woman is changed into a bird because of her greediness. 15th stanza. She had a scarlet cap on her head, and that was left the same. But all the rest of her clothes were burned black as a coal in the flame. Here the meaning is, when the woman turned into a bird, at the time she was wearing a red colored cap on her head. This cap was there on the bird's head also, but the woman's remaining clothes had burned and turned black into color just like coal. Scarlet means red color. Next is 16th stanza. This is the last stanza of this poem. And every country schoolboy has seen her in the wood, where she lives in the trees till this very day, boring and boring for food. Here the meaning is that people who live in the countryside, even the small children who go to school, see this kind of bird in the woods. They see that she stays there all day and keeps on digging the wood with her beak to collect her food. Whenever any child sees this kind of bird, then his elders tell him this story. They say that the bird used to be a woman earlier. She was very greedy, and so she was cursed by Saint Peter and turned into a bird. They get a teaching that they should not be greedy. Students, this is the story of this poem. The message is that we should not be greedy and selfish always. We should help the needy people. A selfish person has no satisfaction in life. Let me tell you the summary of the poem. The poem is a legend about an old lady who hanged Saint Peter because of her greed. Legend means story. The story goes on like this. One day Saint Peter was preaching around the world and reached the door of a cottage where this woman lived. She was making cakes and packing them on a hearth. Saint Peter was fainting with hunger. He asked the lady to give him a piece of cake. The cake that she was packing them appeared to be too big, so she didn't give him that, and instead she packed another smaller one that also appeared to be big, so she didn't give him that also. The second time she packed yet another smaller cake but found it too big to give away. In the third attempt, she took an extremely little scarp of dough and rolled it flat. She had it as thin as a wafer but was unable to part with that also. This angered Saint Peter a lot. He said that he was not fit to live in human form and enjoy food and warmth. He cursed her and transformed her into a woodpecker bird who had to bore in hard, dry wood to get his scanty food. She can be seen in the trees all day boring and boring for food. Students, this is the summary of this poem. Students, it's a time to refresh yourself. Name of the game is Name a Country. I will show you 5 countries' name. You have to find where is it in the map. Your time is 40 seconds only. Students, I hope that you refreshed yourself. Let's back to class. Now let's discuss the poetic devices. The first one is rhyme scheme. What is rhyme scheme? A rhyme scheme is the pattern of rhymes of the end of each line of your poem. It is usually referred to by using letters ABC. Students, see the last word of each line of this stanza. Northland, few, winter, through. Northland. So, for the first word, we can give A. See next, few and through. Both are quite similar, so we will give B. Winter is not rhyming good with other, so we will give C. The rhyme scheme is AB, CB. Not only this stanza, all the stanzas in the poem, same rhyme scheme will be followed. AB, CB. Next poetic devices is enjambment. What is enjambment? Running lines from one to the next without using any kind of punctuation mark is known as enjambment. Look at the stanza. First line and third line, there is no punctuation mark in the end. So it is called enjambment. Next, alliteration. What is alliteration? Alliteration is the repetition of a consonant sound in 2 or more close words in a sentence. Students, see here. In the first stanza, that they, T sound is being repeated. Next stanza, sledges, snows, S sound is being repeated. Look like, L sound is being repeated. Funny, furry, F sound is being repeated. So it is known as alliteration. In other stanzas, there are many alliteration words. You can find yourself. Next poetic devices is repetition. What is repetition? Any word or sentence is repeated to lay emphasis on it. Here, away, away, rolled and rolled, boring and boring and boring, boring and boring. So these words are repeated to emphasize the meaning. It is known as repetition. Next is simile. What is simile? A simile is a comparison of two things using the words like or as. Students, here, like, as, as as. So these words are used to compare to different things. It is known as simile. Next, anaphora. What is anaphora? Anaphora is a figure of speech in which words repeat at the beginning of sentences. It is known as anaphora. Here, and, to. So these words are repeated at the beginning of your sentences. It is known as anaphora. These are the poetic devices used in the poem. Once again I tell you the message of the poem. The message is that we should not be selfish and always help the needy. A selfish person has no satisfaction in life. This is the message conveyed by the poet. In our life also, we should not be selfish. We should always help the needy persons.